What is going on, everybody? I am Jay Wright, and I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Jay Plays. Thank you all so much for joining me for this episode as we continue our journey with Lisa the First. The very first thing I want to bring up is just ill. Ill, what the fuck ill? Why the... I don't understand how I missed this. You might have seen it in the last Lisa the First playthrough. It wasn't until I started editing the video and really paid attention to what Rick had said that made me realize what the hell Rick is, and it grossed me out. I mean, as it should gross anybody out who plays through the game, but just the fact that it hit me out of nowhere, and I never even considered that Rick is a dick. He's a whole ass dick. He's a whole ass dick. How did I miss that? He literally says, "You have to swallow me. I like exploring caves." We put a plastic bag over his nasty ass shaped head, and then at the end he says, "I'm very sensitive, but you know that, don't you?" Sick ass Rick, man. Anyway, now that we got that out of our system, that's gross. That's disgusting. And we should have known that the disgusting stuff was here from the very beginning, but it went right over my head. Like the developer was telling us from the jump, hey, this is a disturbing tale, and I'm just la da da da. Hey, Rick, what can we do to help you, Rick? Oh, Rick, you should run away from us. We're cutting you up. We deserve to cut Rick up. What do we have left to do, though? That's the real question. And I think we're supposed to go see Rick because there's a Rick down here that's been saying the entire time, "I'm just waiting," and it's worrying me now because now we kind of know what Rick is waiting for, and I don't know how this is gonna go. So, warning now, I have no idea what's going to be shown visually in terms of what's going to happen to Lisa, but we're going for it. Let's see. Oh, Rick is gone. I don't even want to call him Rick. I don't even want to call him by his name. Or, yeah. Oh, boy. It took us back to the room. I'm not going to call it our home. It took it back to the room. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I also have the feeling that maybe we cut too early in the last video because I don't think there's a lot of gameplay actually left. So that's kind of worrying me as well. He always keeps it locked. I wonder if that's Brad's room. Still got piss. Oh, I don't like this at all. Oh, I'm not feeling this at all. I'm not feeling this. Oh God. Oh God. You're wasting your time. I didn't want to do voices for the sick ass. All right, what do we have here? Back in the white room or white area. You really don't get it, do you? Get what? Because I feel like we're pretty caught up with the story as of right now. You got a VHS. You really thought you could forget. Oh, is this like her remembering? Or like her subconscious kind of like popping up against her conscious and trying to like force her to recollect those events or remember those events? Why are you trying so hard? Accept it. You can't fight something that already happened. Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. There is no understanding, no purpose. There's only life, and this one is yours. I wonder who's talking to her right now. I don't know if this is her internal monologue to herself. Accept it. I'm here to stay. That kind of looks like glay. Or slay. Maybe even play. Oh, she's trapped. I can't move her anyway. Oh, boy. Oh, Lisa, Lisa, Lisa. I tell you what, you can see the end. What? What? No way. No way does it end just like this. Really? She's just stuck? Oh, man. Nope, can't access the inventory. Return to the lobby. Okay, there's more. Oh my god, I was gonna say, that would have been like, as sick as it is, that would have been like a really like, kind of like dope ending as far as like just leaving her stuck in the end. And you could just kind of play with it. Like you just leave the audience to play with it in their mind of what that means. And that would be a hell of an ending. Yeah, still can't move, but this is the VHS tape we got. Hmm. I really... Okay, we can move now. I can now see, though, how Brad would be, like, emotionally messed up after having seen what his sister went through. Lisa. Like, it's one thing to hear about it, but then to actually experience it for ourselves, we can definitely give more empathy towards Brad and maybe how he acted towards Buddy. Is that you? Lisa, I'm sorry, or Gorfy, one of the two. I'm so sorry, maybe? Lisa! I didn't want to leave. Lisa! I didn't want to die. I'm not reading that, but Lisa, if that's Marty, he does not. That's a lie. Don't go! You can't run. It's not even me, that's just her running. Game over. So previously we got the end, now we got game over. I don't know if is that officially it, or... I'm gonna have to look up if there's actual other endings, because I don't know what else we could do outside of what we just did. Can't think of any other way that we may have left unexplored. Give me 1 second. Okay, I did all the research I could possibly do, and those were actually two endings. We could have either stopped where it said this is the end, and that is one ending, or we could do what we did, which is go to the VHS. And the only thing that I didn't understand in that moment was that the person standing there was supposed to be Lisa's mother, and not Lisa, not the father. That was a little hard for me to understand. I think mainly because of like reading the words. I don't know why my mind didn't click on that was Lisa's mom. But then she turns around, obviously, and it's Marty, which the wiki that I was looking at, the wiki for Lisa the First, mentioned that represents the fact that every memory that Lisa now has about any little thing has been corrupted by Marty, and all she sees in her life is Marty, which explains why she ultimately ends up taking her own life, man. This was, wow. Wow, man. Just wow. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the actual game site for Lisa the First before to give our final review. But for those who will not be sticking around to hear the final thoughts, thank you so much for watching this far and enjoying the gameplay. Hopefully you enjoyed the gameplay. Hopefully you left a comment in the comment section below. Speaking of, shout out to Newt, who left a comment in the comment section below that pretty much sums up the entire feeling of this entire game, which was obviously sheesh, because this whole game screams a lot of sheesh. But yeah, thank you all for watching. For those who are not sticking around, and for everybody else, I will see you on the game page for Lisa the First. All right, everybody, thank you all for joining me as we give our final thoughts for Lisa the First. As you can see, we are on rpgmaker.net, which is where I downloaded the game for free. I've been kind of like stalling and delaying because I'm trying to process everything in my mind of what we saw, because again, this is another game where a lot of it was symbolic, even though it was more on the nose than I felt Lisa the Painful and Lisa the Joyful was. it still was a lot of, we're not going to tell you through words, we're going to tell you through images, and you have to pay attention to truly understand what happened. Like, going into this game, had we never played any other Lisa game, I don't know if I would have realized that Lisa was Marty's daughter and that this was a story. I probably would have understood that this had sexual implications, but I probably wouldn't have guessed that it was Lisa's father was raping her, and we're exploring the minds of this like just hurt, damaged girl, like mentally, her psyche. And fortunately, fortunately we played the other game, so we have that kind of context to kind of guide us with everything we saw. And when we do have the context and we do play and we realize what Rick stands for, and we see this big glob of just disgustingness over here in the corner, we can kind of understand what it is her mind is telling us as far as like the sexual abuse and what it is he made her do, and why she ultimately ends up killing herself. Which I'm actually surprised that in this game it never gets to that point, letting you know like this was Lisa's ultimate fate. You would have to play the sequel or the next game in order to determine, oh, she eventually ended up, I think, hanging herself, right? That was like her ultimate. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's hanging, because I think one of the images is showing her hanging, and then of course Brad has all the visions of her hanging herself. That is rough, man. This is a rough game to get through from a story standpoint. Like, I could see how this would be tough for a lot of individuals, especially anybody who's ever dealt with anything that's even borderline dealing with sexual abuse, regardless of like the person's connection, just sexual abuse in general. So I feel like the way that the game did it, though, it was respectful. It never felt like gratuitous. It never felt like it was trying to be offensive. It wasn't just making a game to make a game, like, oh, like, you know, like some people find a topic that's so controversial and then they'll create some kind of art piece around it, but there's no actual meaning to it. They're just doing it for the sake of doing it. Versus Lisa, I'm not saying that it has this big grand message, because I don't really think that it does, but it doesn't feel like the game also just chose a random topic in order to make a game. Like, it felt respectful, and I'm not somebody that's ever really dealt with anything like that before, so I'm not saying that. In saying that I find it respectful, I'm not saying I'm an expert on what's respectful and not respectful. I'm just saying that I felt like playing through the game that I never saw anything offensive in how it delivered its message. And I think it is, with everything considered, with the other games also considered in this, a really great story. It's a hard story, it's a tough story, but it is a good story. So saying that, I also understand that this game is older, 2012. I feel like this, I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to look it up. I don't know if this game actually came before Lisa the Painful, or Lisa the Painful came out and then they went back and did Lisa the First. I feel like, this came in 2012. I think Lisa the Painful came out later, right? So this had to have came out first. So this is probably where the idea started, and then he moved on, or she moved on to Lisa the First. Oh no, I did see that the idea for like the whole Lisa backstory came from the developers, some relationship that he had and that individual dealing with the traumas of sexual abuse, and he was kind of inspired from that, which is tough. I forgot what I was gonna say now. Oh, so yeah, I remember now. What I was saying is that the game is short, really short, and it's nothing spectacular gameplay wise. Like, the only thing that you're really doing where you feel like you have an actual input is the spider levels, of course, with the puzzles, which can be difficult. Like, they definitely take a little bit of patience to get the rhythms down and to understand what it is you need to do in order to progress. Because if you try to like bulldoze your way through it, or just like, you know, like just shoving that square peg in that circle hole, like eventually I'm gonna make it fit, it's not gonna work. You're never gonna get past those spiders, man, because their patterns are set, and they're really like, for an older game, and they're really meticulous patterns. Like, it's really covered really well. If you don't think things out, you're not gonna move forward, especially with the second level of spiders, because you mess up on those rocks and you're having to start all the way over from the beginning, which I had to do not once, but twice. But we got through it, and once you get to the other side, again, like anything that's challenging, it makes you feel better about yourself. It makes you feel more invested in the game, because you put in actual work and sweat to get to the end, which is always fun. In the moment, it sucks. You're just like, I hate this. Why did you do this to me? Why are you being a dick? Why are you making the game so hard? You think of so many reasons to complain, but then once you get over it, you're like, whew, I feel so much better. I'm so glad I did that. That wasn't that bad at all. It was that bad, but it was also a needed gameplay mechanic, because outside of that, there's nothing else really going on other than just exploring the world and trying to get an understanding of the story. So I think it's a good game for coming out so early, even though it's short and there's not much else to it. The score also, even though it's like, it's nothing, again, nothing spectacular. You know, it's not I can't even think of a composer right now. It's there's so many composers that are famous, right? Why can't I think of any right now? Like the dude who did like Jurassic Park or whatever. I can't think of anybody right now. But the point is, it's not like this fantastical score, which of course you're not expecting, but it works really well for making you feel off center. It makes you feel just uncomfortable in the world, especially when like key moments are happening, whether you're exploring like a disturbing world of Lisa's or a revelation is being expounded upon from Marty to Lisa. The jazz, like the saxophone type, but it's like eerie and just like, it just makes you feel uncomfortable the entire time. So the score works really well for the game. So although the gameplay, not much to it and it's short, it's saved, I think, by story. Although I think that's kind of unfair because you have to get the, for me anyway, I would have had to play Lisa the Painful and maybe even Lisa the Joyful. Probably not Lisa the Joyful, but at least Lisa the Painful before playing Lisa the First to really understand the story. Going into this blind, I still don't know if I would have been able to understand the story, but the story saves it, the score saves it. Yeah, and it doesn't feel lazy. So, with all that being said, hopefully you decide to leave your own opinions, or maybe correct my opinions, or share your opinions in the comment section below so I can read them over and just add on to my own understanding, because at the end of the day, I think this will be probably the last Lisa-centric game that we have, right? I don't think there's any more games that revolve around Lisa, Brad, or Buddy. I think we've kind of completed that trilogy, though I know there are like spin-off games that deal with like other characters that we may check out. If I'm wrong, please let me know I'm wrong and drop a comment in the section below, because I'd love to explore more of the relationship between everybody. Plus, I'd honestly like to see more of like Lisa in that lead up to her final moments, and the mother also, like understanding what happened to the mother, because if that was the mother at the end that was telling her like, I didn't want to leave you, I didn't want to die, I kind of want to know like, what was the mother's relationship in all of this? Like, was she kind of submissive and let Marty do this thing? Which I want to say probably not, right? Because if this is all mental for Lisa, that means when Lisa met her mother, it was her own creation of who her mother is, right? Not her actual mother speaking to her. And that mother is telling her like, I didn't mean to leave you, I didn't mean to die, which means Lisa thought highly of her mother, which you probably wouldn't think highly of if you knew your mother was submissive and allowing this thing to happen. So she was probably not submissive towards it, but I also wonder if that means Marty didn't start doing these things until the mother passed away. Because remember, there was that whole flashback scene where everything was white and Marty was like dressed up and he had like rosy cheeks, and Lisa was at the table and they were having a tea party where it seemed like they were happy. So maybe there was a happier time before things went really, really bad with the passing or whatever happened to the mother. Well, we know she passed because she said she didn't want to die. So I'd like to see more of that story. Like what led up to Marty's, whether it led up to or he was already just this disgusting human being. And then of course, we never saw Brad in the game, but getting a game where we see Brad's kind of reaction to all of this, although it probably wouldn't be that much of a game because as we know at that time, Brad was, I mean, older Brad seems regretful that he didn't step in, that he didn't do anything. So I imagine little Brad didn't step in or didn't do anything, which you can't blame him. He's probably a kid. Anyway, we're rambling on now. I could probably talk about this game for a long time and just like discuss. So let's save that for the comment section below. Again, thank you to everybody that's commented on the video, like Newt, who left the comment, sheesh. I appreciate it. 1 word, 2 words, 3 words, 50 words, 100 words. I don't care. Just leave a comment in the video below because I love interacting with people. So our final grade for Lisa the First, we're going to give this 5 puke stains out of 10. We're gonna raise the bar from 1 to 5 to 1 to 10 because 1 to 5 is so short. Like if you don't have a score that's 4 or 5, it means the game is bad pretty much, right? 10 gives you more range. So we're gonna say a 5 out of 10, right down the middle. It's a good game, it's a solid game, it is short, gameplay's not great, but story saves it, and I like the score. So that's our final thoughts. Thank you again so much for joining me for this episode of Jay Plays. Hopefully you find another video to check out, and I look forward to seeing you in the next adventure. I am Jay Wright, and this was Jay Plays. Deuces.